Now, turning to Ukraine, as a diplomat, how much of a chance do you give to diplomacy working under the circumstances, and given that the status quo has lasted for so many weeks now?
I'm certainly hopeful. I think all efforts must be made to reach a diplomatic solution. Israel is caught, frankly, between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, we are very, very much part of the Western ideology and the Western approach to the international arena. But on the other hand, we have extremely important, vital national interests, both with Ukraine, but also, not less importantly, perhaps to a large extent, with Russia, which is an enormous player in the Middle East, especially in Syria, where it's the only sort of responsible adult, I should say, with the plethora of revolutionary movements there, terrorist movements, with the Assad, who's been butchering his own people for the last goodness knows how many years, and with the Iranian troops with boots on the ground. So we have vested interests with both sides. And of course, that's not even mentioning, which we must, the Jewish communities, both in Ukraine, and in Russia, and the families, millions of Russian and Ukrainian Jews living in Israel. So we have adopted, and we will continue to adopt as much as is possible, a middle path here. We're not a player in the Ukraine-Russia dispute by any means, but we have a lot to lose. You know, there's a well-known saying, when two elephants fight, the grass always suffers. And here we are clearly the grass. We're going to be collateral damage here if conflict breaks out. So we are really hopeful that the diplomatic efforts are currently undergone with the Americans and the Russians on the one hand, the French, the Europeans, will actually bear fruit.
Given your experience, do you see diplomacy working between Ukraine and Russia at the moment?
There's a good chance that it might. It's difficult to know. I think we have to, like anyone really, to work for to expect and hope for the best, but to prepare for the worst. Now, this is really the situation that the international community is in. But I don't think, under any circumstances, that any side is particularly interested in conflict, in death and destruction in this region. They have, in the region of Ukraine and Russia, they have vested interests. They have serious interests, both sides. I think that with that in mind, with the undercurrent of a possible basis for a foundation for movement, diplomacy has still not run its entire course.
Israel having plans to rescue tens of thousands of Ukrainian Jews if they do want to leave Ukraine. What can you tell us about these plans and how so many people will be integrated at such short notice?
I don't know much about these plans. I don't think anybody has discussed them publicly. I've seen a report here and a report there. But Israel has always stood at the forefront of helping Jews in trouble, wherever they may be. Wherever anti-Semitism has reared its ugly head, wherever conflict has reared itself throughout the international community. But having said that, I don't know of any particular, except for the newspaper reports that I've seen. Having said that, I don't see it as a problem of absorbing people from abroad in a short notice. We've done that many times in the past from different parts of the world, including the former Soviet Union, but other countries too, which have fallen under hard times or difficult times, either internal conflict or Jews wishing to escape from anti-Semitism and terror against them. Iran is one case. We've seen it happen in the Ethiopian context. We've seen it happen throughout international, throughout the history of the recent history. We will continue to do so. I don't think the absorption in Israel is going to be the difficult aspect of that. We have a vast experience of absorption of immediate and fast and quick absorption of foreign nationals and Jewish nationals in Israel, and we will continue to help to do with that.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.